Yeah, because there were a lot of expectations on him, weren't there? And to some level, it looked like he almost tried too hard at times to make an impact, resulted in that sending off against Leicester as well, and he's never been able to pick it up since. Something like this can actually give him a lot of confidence moving forward and actually try to solidify his spot in Chelsea. It
is. I mean, he's still only a young lad, so he's got a lot of enthusiasm. But as he gets older and more confident, I think there'll be more composure. He'll start reading the game a little bit better. But I mean, I think I heard an interview with Thomas Tuchel not so long back saying that he wakes up in the morning jumping around, buzzing, and he's full of energy. Well, to have that round the dressing room and to have that on the training pitch is infectious. And you can see his smile and his enthusiasm for the game. It's great to be around, and I'm sure he's going to have a great season for Chelsea.
How good was his interview in that respect?
Yeah.
You know, I'm ready to go, whether it's on the bench, whether I'm starting. That's literally a message to his manager saying, I'm ready. Whenever you need me, I'll do the job.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because he looked like he's enjoying himself. He loved that winning goal because it would have lifted a lot of pressure off him that he's probably putting on himself more than anything.
Yeah, I think he's striving to achieve the most he can as a footballer. You know, he's got quite a lot of experience. When you think about, you know, his season he had last year at Crystal Palace. Before that, he was out on loan at West Bromwich Albion as well, where I thought he did really, really well in a struggling side. And of course, it's opportunity time for him, isn't it? Because, you know, maybe Thomas Tuchel didn't fancy him in the team that much. Here's his opportunity to show to Graham Potter that he should be a regular starter. And, you know, the Chelsea squad is going to change, it's going to evolve, and, you know, it truly is, I think, an opportunity for him.
He said asked about how important that goal was. And when you look at the scale and where Chelsea are at the moment, a goal from midfield like that is massive. It really is, because I don't think there's enough chipping in with goals at all from Chelsea's point of view. So to have a midfield player that is in goal-scoring form, and he does tend to score.
Yeah, I remember when he was playing at West Bromwich Albion in the Premier League, I said that he reminded me a little bit of Frank Lampard, his ability to score goals. Yeah. If he turns out to be three-quarters of what Frank Lampard was, he's going to be some player. But he just might.
Do you think he reminds you of Frank Lampard?
I think he's probably got a little bit more than Frank Lampard. I think Lampard was excellent at, you know, last-minute runs into the box and scoring. But I think he's probably got a bit more guile about his game. He can go past people. He can see a pass. I think he's potentially got a little bit more than Frank. I don't know whether he can score as many as Frank from midfield. I think that's a bit of an impossibility maybe. But
it's a very difficult feat. Let's put it that way.
He's certainly a good all-round player.
Is he good enough to be a starter though? And if so, who does he dislodge in that midfield then?
Well, I don't know. At a club like Chelsea, with the playing staff they have, it's very, very difficult to pin down your own position. You'd probably sort of put him in a Mason Mount type competition with him. But if he's scoring goals and coming from midfield, he's got every chance.
Will he overtake Mason Mount, do you think?
I think it's a possibility. I think Mason Mount's really good parts to his game, but the impact and the goals that I've already said, I think are less than what they were.
Why do you think that is then?
I don't know. I think he missed a couple of big opportunities in finals at Wembley. When I think back to Wembley, I think in the cup matches last season, goals that you'd see him finish, chances just didn't hit the back of the net. And whether or not it's just a feeling, but then he came on and scored a great goal for England.
He did, yeah.
In the week and showed what he can do in terms of his finishing.
And he couldn't follow it up today as well.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one.
Well, when we were watching it, we said, like, you know, Mason Mount could have had 2, maybe 3 goals here this afternoon. And I think that happens with players, doesn't it? You know, we weren't goal scorers. Lee was certainly more of a goal scorer than we ever were. But it goes like that, doesn't it? You have little runs.
Yeah, I also think that, you know, Mason Mount's at the age now where he's been in the team as a young lad and there's not been any expectancy. We spoke about it before, didn't we? And now he's getting to the age where there is an expectancy and there's a different sort of pressure that you get from fans, from the manager, from your teammates, that you put on yourself. And I think he's just going through that transition of he's not quite young enough to be a young lad that can just go and do what he wants and have a bad game because he's young. There's actually an expectancy and a level that he has to perform at, and he's having to do that every week now.
You've also got a player like Conor Gallagher
who's pushing him
behind, and you kind of think all of a sudden he's now looking at that player
over his shoulder,
he was Conor Gallagher.
That's right,
knocking on the door. And it's a different mentality, isn't it?
It's different mental
It's going to be interesting how he looks at that as well, because you've got to be mentally strong enough to not be, I guess, to not be threatened by it too much, that it actually is has a negative impact on your game. You have to have it to push you. But also considering as well the amount of minutes that Mason Mount has played. I think last season, third most minutes, just behind Edouard Mendy and Antonio Rudiger as well. And the role he played for England, and you mentioned that, so there could be just the amount of minutes clocking up on him.
Yeah, I mean, he came off the bench for England, had an impact. He plays every week for Chelsea, and he's had patches, especially last season, where I thought he was absolutely outstanding. But I don't see, every time I watch him play at the moment, there's just that little bit of impact on the game that isn't as good as what I know he can produce.
To be fair, Tuchel don't often play him as a true number 8.
No,
so it plays him out of position.
And that's the other thing is unless you're going to play a number 10, and this is the problem with England, because unless Gareth Southgate plays a number 10 role, where does he fit in? He doesn't fit in those two midfield players sitting in front of the back four. He's not really a wide player. And he's kind of very specific that he's very much that attacking midfield player, number 10. So again, fitting into the system, getting the best out of Mason Mount might be something that Graham Potter needs to look at and maybe accommodate.
Gary?
Yeah, again, I'm just thinking that, you know, that's going to evolve over a period of the next few weeks as Graham Potter gets more of a hold and a feel for his squad of players. But, you know, from Graham Potter's point of view, what he does know is that he has some really, really talented players, and his job as the head coach is to get the best out of all of those players collectively and individually. And if he doesn't, then he's failing in part of his job.